Another validation feature introduced in MVC3 is the concept of a self-validating model. A self-validating model implements an iValidatable object interface that will force you to implement a validate method on your model. That validate method receives the same validation context parameter that you would get if you put the logic inside of a custom validation attribute. If we were to implement that same date-time logic that we had in our attribute in a validate method in our model instead, it would look something like this. We have validate, we have the validation context parameter. The checks here are very easy because remember, this method is dedicated to a specific model. The validation attribute that we wrote earlier, that can be reused across several different types of models, so we have to be very careful about formatting the error message string and making sure that we perform the validation in a very generic way so it can work across all those different types of models. When you implement iValidatable object, you're implementing a validate method for this model, and so you can just walk up to properties and check them. Also notice that the return type is slightly different. This returns an IEnumerable of validation result, so not a single validation result, but you can return multiple validation results here. Because of course the idea is that this validate method will contain multiple validation checks inside of it, so it might find multiple problems with a model, and therefore it's going to return multiple validation results. The easiest and most straightforward way to build that IEnumerable is just to use the C# yield return syntax.